Hi, so I wanted to do a quick video this evening on one of the most important, well, the most important thing, in my opinion, when it comes to manifesting and creating what you want in life, and that's belief. It doesn't really matter what you do. Like, there's all these different techniques and tricks, and you'll do one and it will work for you, and then you maybe do it again and it doesn't. And this is because it's all about your core belief. This is why you can bring stuff in when you're in a bad mood as well as when you're in a good mood. Um, and you'll do something one time and it works, and then you'll try the same thing again and it doesn't work because like I often find like doing something can kind of just tip you over the edge, or when you're in like a really high vibrational mood, it can tip a belief that's like wavering like over the edge. And this is the problem with that I have with this vortex stuff, and saying that, you manifest everything in the vortex. Well, I do believe that is true, but the problem with kind of bringing stuff in that really high energy is that quite often I feel like they're the things that you don't have a really strong belief in day to day. And you've raised your vibration, so you've generally raised your feeling that you can have everything because you feel powerful and you feel like your source energy. And that is a very powerful creation period, and the more time obviously spent there the better, because you feel just feel higher, right? But it doesn't really, like, it's not really conducive to having that strong innate belief that something is yours, that you're worthy of something. And quite often I find that when you bring stuff in from that high energy place, they're the kind of things that often like go again when you come out of it, because all the old fears return. And sometimes when you go really, really high like that, the drop is quite a significant feeling, like when you come out of that feeling. Because I used to get into this state all the time where I'd get like really, really high, I'd like attract and manifest those stuff, and then it was almost like I'd feel the opposite low, the other side. And like all the old feelings would return, and then all the stuff would go, and it would kind of almost make me feel worse, because it was this very like turbulent in and out, everything you've ever wanted, everything's gone, everything you've ever wanted, everything's gone. And I had that period for a while, and I actually now have a lot more success with just understanding that I have to change my core belief, irrelevant of whether my mood is like high. I mean, obviously we all want to vibrate on a higher level. We all want to feel like a deep sense of joy and connect to our higher self like every day. Of course, that's a no-brainer. We'd rather spend more time in that energy than out. But if you're only managing to get into the belief that you have the things that you want when you're in that energy, then they're going to be super turbulent, because then when you come out of it and you feel that drop, you're going to just like lose all those things. So I really feel like it's a very important part of manifesting to really, really create. You have to just change your mindset of fully knowing that you have what you want. And not just when you're in like a high vibrational feeling, it has to be like a standard feeling. It has to be the same as the feeling of, I'm gonna go to the shop and they're gonna stock the thing that I want to buy. Like, it has to be that level of like casual knowingness that it's within your reach because you're completely worthy of it. And if you only feel you're a match for it when you're in this like higher vibrational energy, when you drop out, which is going to happen, because I mean, there's very few people that that I've ever met, or no one I've ever met personally for sure. I mean, I don't know about some people that I haven't met, but that are in that state of being like 100% of the time. But if you have a strong enough belief of something, it doesn't matter like what your mood is, because you still believe it. Like, if you believe that, you say you've got a regular job and you believe you have that job, it doesn't matter if you wake up depressed, as long as you still have the belief in that job. But if you've only brought something through from that really high energy, then you're going to struggle to maintain it if you don't manage to get that belief strong enough that you can maintain it throughout like any mood. So I hope that makes sense. But that's something that has really, really changed everything for me, is really just working hard at changing my core beliefs. And it's all these like little tricks and tips that you can find that, you know, they do work, but they're kind of a cumulative effect. So you can't just sort of do one of them. And I mean, you can do one of them if you feel like it's working and that's helping you actually change your belief. But, you know, all these things like mental diets and scripting and binaural beats, they all have, you know, a place. But it's important to understand that it's not them that's creating what you want. It's you. These are just helping you change your own thoughts, your own energy, your own ability to create. Everything is in here. And it's the same with crystals. You can make them work for you if you want. Like, I had a massive awakening from all that stuff where I went so far away from it, because I used to be really into all these crystals, used to do tarot readings, and, you know, rely on other people's opinions to guide my own life. You know, I went through a massive stage with all this spiritual stuff, thinking, you know, that it could help me. And, you know, now I realize that none of that stuff, you know, they're all just like pacifying things that actually are outside of myself. And it's really kind of the same with all these techniques. Now, you can program all of them however you want. Like, you can program a crystal to protect you. And if you truly, truly believe that that crystal is protecting you, and you start taking it everywhere and you're really safe. And I had something in my car, like I had this angel someone gave me, and I just put it in my car because I didn't know where else to put it. And then I used to start seeing it as my omen that I would never have like a bad accident while that angel was in my car. And never had one. So, I mean, you know, on that level, I can say that it worked. But it's not that piece of metal. It's, you know, the energy that you put on that piece of metal. And really, you have to kind of, to ultimately know that you're the creator of your reality and have optimum power, you really need to know that these things are not your power. You can give them a bit of power, and you can say, okay, I'm going to pretend that it's this thing that's doing it, not me, because I'm not powerful enough. It's like saying I'm not powerful enough without this like bit of rock, or without this pack of tarot cards, or, you know. But ultimately, they are just things that you've given energy to outside of yourself. And there's like a part in the journey where I feel like maybe they can help. You know, there's a process to awakening that we all go through, and I'm sure there still is. I'm sure there's so much more still on the other side to discover. But that is like was a big part for me, was to stop giving those things the power, and to understand that even if they worked, it's only because I've given the power for them to work. And if I want to see myself as the ultimate creator, and I want to actually have true power over my life, then I have to know that it comes from in here. And it's kind of the same with all the kind of techniques and tricks that are out there on the internet. I mean, they do work, but they work because they're helping you empower yourself, not because they work. It's just anything that is empowering you to know that you can change what's outside of you. And it's coming into that belief, and that belief can be reached in a few different ways. I feel like, you know, some of these things really, really do help. Like scripting, I found very helpful. Binaural beats, just listening to other people and motivational people that help keep you on track. But I also just feel like coming into that real place of, well, being able to let go of things is big, because, and I think that's where the surrender and detach to manifest comes in, because it's actually a very empowering feeling when you're not overly attached to things, because, and you're not giving things outside of you any energy. Anytime you're giving anything outside of you energy, you're basically like losing your own power. That's really hard to do. I mean, like the past year, over the past year, I've literally manifested huge things, specific huge connection coming back and expressing like all the feelings, a flat, my day to day earnings, like the amount of freebies and even living in everything has all mapped out. Yeah, my only thing like left to work on now is my day-to-day financial, which has definitely gone up recently, but it's still got some kind of place to go. And that's partly because it's the least thing I put value on. Like for me, love and living space have always been far more important to me than financial abundance. That's just a priority that I've always had, and spiritual growth as well. So I've always had to feel very aligned to my career, and I've had to drop a lot of things when I no longer feel aligned to them, which has obviously meant that if I'd have carried on them, they'd be far more financially stable by now. But I have to trust in my own growth and knowing that my path is changing, and allowing myself to be drawn to the thing that brings me the most joy and the most passion, and being willing to let go of things that, even though they might have been at a point where they would have been very financially rewarding, that they're not for me anymore. So I mean, that's never really been an important thing for me, just to share a bit of my own personal journey. But yeah, like in all of them, I had to basically let go of them first. Like I had them, or there was the kind of sight of them, and then I lost them. I had to not emotionally attach to the 3D and do a lot of, depending on it, like love for me is much more hard work than like the flat. The flat actually came very easily because like I said, I'm just not as attached to those things as, I think a lot of us feel the same on that. And for me, with the connections, with the love front, it's very much been about knowing myself as a creator, not attaching to the 3D, and just knowing that I'm creating and believing it. But the belief was like a natural product of really coming into a place of self-love and knowing that I was worthy of things. Because in the past, like I've had such rejection issues, and things come up which I think most of us do. I mean, when we have these really strong, deep connections, I think you can sort of, I've had connections with people and I felt like absolutely nothing come up. Like it was just really nice, it was really easy. But I didn't, when I was truthful with myself, have those deep enough feelings in that connection. And I think the deeper the feelings and the sort of deeper and stronger we feel for somebody, the more we kind of have to plow through to be able to kind of manifest that connection in fully, because it really means that we have to really feel ourselves on the deepest level and love ourselves, not in an egotistical way. And we have to overcome so many attachments as well of not placing too much energy on this person outside of ourselves, but knowing that they are just a manifestation of us. And it gets really, really tricky with love. I mean, especially with really strong connections, really, really tricky to keep on bringing it home to self. And that's why I think some of these things are very good, like listening to people that have done it, and can keep you motivated. And a circle of friends is an amazing thing as well. If you can all club together and just kind of keep reminding one another to stay awake. Because it's very easy to lose yourself when there's another person involved, more so than manifesting material things, or at least I feel. So yeah, I really feel one of the biggest things is just that belief and that like the self-love, which really creates the belief, because you can't have the belief that you can have it until you believe you're worthy of having it. So, and that involves clearing all the blocks in you from childhood and lifetime experiences that make you think you're not worthy, or that you can't hold on to love, or that it doesn't work out for you, or that you're not in some way worthy of having love. It's about breaking all those blocks down so that you feel worthy, which naturally brings in the belief that you can have it, and then brings in what you want. So although it is all about belief, I do believe that to get into the belief, it's very much about a natural byproduct of the self-worth, which is connected to vortex feeling too, because the more worthy you feel and the more good stuff happens, you know, the more you can rise and the more blocks you purge off yourself, the more you can rise into that higher energy. But there is always going to be, you know, ebbs and flows. And that's why that belief at the core is the most important thing, because it shouldn't matter like what energy mood you're in. If you believe that, if you believe you have that thing and it's as easy for you to believe as anything else in life, then, you know, you'll still have it whatever energy mood you're in. I don't believe that it's frequency dependent. It's about seeing yourself as a creator, knowing you create and believing you're worthy, really. And then, you know, your energy mood is like a bonus, you know. And that also is just a byproduct of like shifting off. I mean, they're all basically come into one thing. This is the most disjointed video ever, sorry. But they're all like byproducts of one another, really. So you've got like the belief is really the byproduct that you love yourself enough to know that you're worthy of it, and the belief that you know that you create a reality. And all these things come through shifting your blocks that get in the way of that belief and that self-love. And testing as well is big. Like the more stuff you start to see happen, not just the good stuff, actually. I find it really, really important to monitor the stuff that you've brought into reality that you didn't want to experience. Because when you claim ownership to it and you can see how you created it and you can take responsibility for it, it really, really helps you see how you're forming and creating a reality all the time. So when you put that effort into the good stuff, your belief is stronger because you've witnessed exactly how you're creating your reality. So yeah, I just wanted to share some of my thoughts over the last 2 days. Sorry, really all over the place type of video. I don't know why. That's just how I'm feeling today, and I just wanted to share something. So I hope everybody is well, and speak to you soon.